Hello and welcome to my review of Catwoman number 21. It's written by Joelle Jones with art by Fernando Blanco, and it is Joelle Jones's last issue on her run of Catwoman. And with that, you end up pretty much with what happens a lot of times with these last issues, kind of a reset button on the whole entire deal. You can get Catwoman back to where she should be. And it's a shame because I really wanted this book to be something more. When it was announced Joelle Jones was going to do the writing and the art, I was excited about that, especially on the art side. But with the book coming out of the Batman number 50, the failed wedding issue, and in fact hitting the shelves on the same day as that issue hit, it had some hurdles. It did have some things. And I think at the beginning, Joelle Jones did a good job of kind of jumping over those hurdles, giving this whole idea of Selina in another town some breathing room, getting some things that were pretty good, and even making at that point Villa Hermosa almost like its own character, like a Gotham. That was pretty cool. The problem is the whole idea of Raina Creel as the villain, it just went on too long. She's not a interesting villain anyway. I don't hear a lot of people begging for more Raina Creel. In fact, I heard a lot of people complaining that it was too much, and it was. This whole run of hers has been based on Raina Creel as the villain, and while you ended up having, say, Bane as the guy behind the scenes and throughout the whole Tom King run of Batman, that's Bane. This is Raina Creel, and it almost seems as if you ended up having Joelle Jones going out of that Batman book and saying, okay, well, this is what Tom King did. I'll kind of do the same, but set up this Raina Creel. And while she set her up okay, it's just not an interesting villain. The story hasn't been that interesting. And once you ended up having the Lazarus pits involved and where they would turn some into zombies. And in fact, Selina Kyle goes into a Lazarus pit and it just gives her a new costume. It was more like Lady Gaga costume changes between songs. It was very odd. And that's one of the problems with this finale. You're going to try to reset things. You're going to try to tie up a lot of things here. And Joelle Jones ends up having to force some things and even go against things that we saw the past couple issues. But Selina is at the Creel mansion where it is being overrun by a bunch of socialite zombies. She is there to try to cut through that and get to Raina Creel for the final confrontation. In the meantime, you do have Linda Ayala and Carlos off in the hospital where they're trying to save Linda, who ended up getting run through by zombies in their pawn shop, where Carlos ended up blaming Catwoman for that. So as we go, you just have Selina fighting through these zombies. And we end up getting to a part where you have Detective Yilmaz here, and that is okay because he is somebody who has been being kind of a jerk to Selina this whole time. He's part of the enemy. So him dying, and he's undead. I mean, do the undead really die? But he ends up going down. She says she's sorry that it had to end that way. I don't believe her. But yeah, then you get the confrontation that you're waiting for with Raina Creel and Selina. Instead of a fight, instead of a beatdown, Selina pretty much just goes through a greatest hits of when she started out to explain to Raina Creel that everybody may have two faces. Yes, Raina Creel's doesn't have a nose, but hey, she could get another face with a nose, things like that. And it's one of those, like, anybody can change. You don't have to be bad. One of the cool things in this is it does look like you have Halle Berry in the bottom right corner there as Catwoman. It really does look like that to me. And that's kind of a cool shout out to an awful movie. But I thought that that was kind of a clever thing for Fernando Blanco to do on the art. And I do like the art for the most part here. But the idea that you're now going to go back to show, oh, this is what Selina thought at the beginning. And look at me. I know Selina. This is good enough for me to get upset that we didn't get more of this before, though. I would have liked to have seen some things where you're referencing Selina's past, which you did have at the very beginning with Maggie, her sister, where you were referencing a lot of things from, say, year one, even things out of continuity, but in a cool way to bring them back in. And the idea that we had Maggie, her sister, throughout this whole run, and really did nothing with her because she was comatose the whole time, just waiting for her to do anything. And we never got that. And I'd say that wasn't Joelle Jones's fault if she didn't have this many issues to tell the story. But, you end up where Selina says to Raina, I found out a way to live with both my faces, something that Raina Creel hasn't seemed to be able to figure out. But you end up where Raina Creel does go down. She ends up getting killed. Now, she gets killed by her son, Adam, the zombie. And even that switched from before, because at the beginning of this run, you ended up having Adam die. You ended up having Raina just devastated by it. This was her baby boy. She'd do anything and did do anything. And she didn't care if dead is better. She brought him back. Suddenly, the last couple issues, he became a pest and a nuisance and something she didn't want, just to set up this. She ended up becoming very abusive to him so that you could have this turn where he ends up killing his mother and then basically tells Selina to go and take the Lazarus water and make things right. And so that's how you end up having Linda seemingly saved. You see there with Carlos, Linda's okay, and you see the Lazarus water. Now, there's a big problem with this. And it even seems to say by the end that Maggie is brought back with this Lazarus water as well. The problem is, 2 issues ago in issue 19, you showed that Raina Creel here, she tainted that Lazarus water. She made it so that if you end up giving it to anybody, they become brain-dead zombies who can be controlled by Raina Creel. Now, is this something where because she's dead, then it reverts? I don't know, because it's not set up. You basically use something before to create all of those zombies. Every zombie that we see Selina fighting through in this book was created by this Lazarus water in this specific urn that we now see is the one that ended up saving Linda. And then by the end, it seems to be saving Maggie as well. Selina leaves a note for Carlos, apologizes, said, give Linda a kiss, and I'm going to be heading out here. She's going to go and find her own way, which seems to be her own way back to Gotham. But we end with her with Maggie, and Maggie talking, they're driving. It seems like everything's okay. Now, that's fine and dandy, but again, how did this happen? Was it the Lazarus water? Because that was tainted. Also, is she leaving Villa Hermosa seemingly overrun by zombies? I mean, we don't get any resolution to any of the zombie problem. Is it that they are now just quarantining off Villa Hermosa? They're going to blow it up? Is this the start of pretty much The Walking Dead? Who knows? Now, this does continue. The story does continue. Joelle Jones continuing in the 80th anniversary Catwoman issue. But is that going to fill in the blanks of all of this nonsense? I doubt it. I think that it's going to show that Selina gets back to Gotham. And this issue is not good. And it's one of those where there's a couple things that end up showing you that Joelle Jones does like the character. She has a lot invested and does know the character. It's just that she didn't have the gumption to do it in her run. And I think that maybe a little more of a strong editorial presence might have been able to tie things in. And I still think that maybe at the point where she ended up falling behind on doing the writing and the art, instead of bringing in like a Fernando Blanco, who did a great job, I'm not saying anything about him, but maybe instead of a other artists, maybe they could have brought in a co-writer that could have plotted her story better, could have shown her dialogue's fine. It's the pacing and just the idea that things were changing and weren't that interesting to begin with. But this is how we end. We end with something that we wanted to see all series long. Maggie okay, and heading off with Selina. But because of all that I said, I'm giving this a 5 out of 10. I like the art, but really it was a forced ending, and an ending that it's not even just like, oh, we have to end it. There were things that went against stuff that we saw issues ago. And then even before that, it just kept piling on top of each other. But we have this book continuing. We have the 80th anniversary issue coming out, which I am looking forward to. And then this book will continue with separate creative teams and things like that going forward. So I'm going to give the book another look and see what's what. But that is it for that review. Thanks for watching this. Thanks for coming over to our Weird Science Comics channel. I think that, I hope that you know that I appreciate that a lot. And also, please subscribe if you like the videos, and go and look at the description in this video and all the videos to all the links to everything Weird Science. That'd be awesome. Thanks, and I'll talk to you later.